everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Daily Block Party. Nisa and I are excited to welcome Thessy Mehrain, Director of Global Product and Innovation at ConsenSys. Thessy, welcome and thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, nice to see you.
So how did you first get involved with blockchain and what are you most excited about in the space?
So I came from decentralization. So I came really from the value proposition. I had early on actually a Bitcoin, which I didn't quite understand in 2013 that, how amazing it actually was. So when I heard about Ethereum in 2015, I was like, whoa, this is an opportunity to actually shift agency to the individual. So I really came much more from the decentralization aspect as in governance and in creating systems that are reward systems, circular economies and things like that.
So Thessy, we've known each other a while and we're in the middle of a pandemic and we're on lockdown. What do you think Corona will accelerate in the space?
What have we been seeing? Everybody's using Zoom. So basically the digital transformation has been accelerating. And with that, my prediction is that a lot of the blockchain projects also will get much faster traction than we would have otherwise gotten. It's not a great reason, but I just assume that will happen. For one, a lot of the economy is already gone digital. That has gotten faster. But what blockchain is, you can think of it as a trust layer. And that trust layer, of course, the moment everything is more digital, that trust layer in that space is more important. So that is my prediction. And that is something that I've been observing for cryptocurrency that goes hand in hand. Cryptocurrency, I wouldn't say every cryptocurrency. I don't really talk about so many coins. There are like really a couple of coins that I think are important and have certain qualities. A lot of other tokens have other qualities. So I wouldn't necessarily put them all into one category. But so cash is, of course, then if you think digital, cash is moving out. Of course, a lot of people also don't want to deal with cash right now because of, the risk of transmission. And so also cryptocurrency with that higher adoption of a digital economy becomes more interesting.
So are you seeing more payments going towards charity in the form of cryptocurrency?
I haven't been observing that per se. I know of a lot of projects that are trying to do this. So it's less about the cryptocurrency that hits the charities. It's really more about the mechanism on how they are being transferred. And so to, again, come back to the trust layer of blockchain. So that is something that is definitely increasing in adoption.
Are there any other use cases for blockchain that you think may see a faster acceleration because of the impact of coronavirus in the coming months?
Everybody has been hearing about the COVID tracking efforts in the various countries. In some countries, it's already adopted. China has it. Israel has it. There's some talk in the European Union. So if you think about that, there are also blockchain projects. I worked on one, which is Uport. I worked on the early version of Uport, which is a self-sovereign identity model. And so this is all about self-sovereign identity is about the individual having control over the information that is being distributed. So Corona tracking and self-sovereign identity actually have a lot in common. So that's definitely something that is top of mind right now. And there are lots of efforts, even within ConsenSys, to find answers to make tracking secure, so that it's not something that ends up spying on people, or even like what is the quality of data, false positives, things like that. So how can we make sure that the individual is secure and that the information is right?
What are your general roles at ConsenSys? What do you work on?
After working with Uport and self-sovereign identity, during that project, I actually met Simon Lapsher and Alex Crystal, who are now my co-founders in Liquality. Liquality is a project that allows, it's a protocol, and we have a reference implementation. It allows people to exchange value, crypto to crypto, and in a trustless way. Right? If you think of, the value proposition of Bitcoin, which was transparency and access. We took those values and added them to the ability to exchange value. And so what you can do, we are also a bridge between the different blockchains, right? Between Ethereum blockchain and Bitcoin blockchain. And so what other projects have done for Ethereum alone, for example, in Ethereum, there is this whole exploding DeFi financial market, decentralized financial products. And so on the other hand, there's a lot of value that is sitting on the Bitcoin blockchain by the earlier adopters of Bitcoin. And so we are the bridge between Bitcoin and Ethereum. We are providing a way to transact from your holdings into DeFi products or from the DeFi products out, and helping liquidity with that, opening up liquidity and opening up access. So the name actually comes from liquidity and equality. So that's how Liquality came about. You can try it out, liquality.io, and it should help peers, not just like, you know, institutions. It should help peers to transact with one another without the need of trust.
So you do a lot of work in the social impact space. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so obviously equality is something that's really important to me. I'm the founder of Women in Blockchain. We started this in 2016. It was the first initiative around that was particularly geared towards women. And I have also been part of the social impact team in ConsenSys. And so equality is really important if you build systems and products. Why is that? It is because the people who have been, let's say, shortchanged by society, they actually know what doesn't work for them, right? And so they are the ones we should ask and involve in building new systems. And this is like a very, you know, the blockchain space is very new. The products that we're building are new, and there are lots of new concepts and new opportunities. And in order to take advantage of those opportunities, we actually have to ask the people, you know, for who we want to build alternatives, right? Because for the people for who everything is already working fine, they're probably the last ones to adopt something. It's really people in crisis economies or people who have been disadvantaged in other ways for who these systems are particularly transformational, right? And that's why, again, just coming back to your earlier question around COVID, that is a crisis and that has advanced some of the thinking, because before that, even like if you look at the economy right now, now we're printing trillions of dollars, right? So before this, people weren't necessarily thinking of a high inflation or weren't necessarily thinking of banks crashing, even though we had that before. So now all of this is coming a little closer into view, and people do understand, you know, that it might be them who will be, you know, the victim of a financial event. And so in terms of leadership styles, for example, women probably lead a little different. The female style might be different than a male style. I'm not saying the attributes belong necessarily to a gender. They can be males leading with a more female style and vice versa. After the financial crisis in 2008, Wall Street very well understood that the banks that had more women in leadership positions were actually the ones who fared better. And so I was working with JP Morgan at the time, and there were major initiatives after 2008 to bring more women in and, you know, advance women more into leadership positions. And so when I started Women in Blockchain in 2016, it was that thinking, making sure that, you know, we bring that stability and that diversity of thinking, and it's not just women, it's any kind of diversity, that we bring this into the community and make sure that we build products and systems with that type of diversity to build robust solutions that are sustainable.
And so given the fact that diversity outperforms in banks and boards and in startups and investors, and we have all this data, what do you think it is that's holding women back from being more involved in this industry?
A number of factors, right? I mean, if you go to a website and you have a list of like the team and they're all male, a lot of women just don't want to go there, right? It's like, okay. Then also, if you're the only one woman on a team, that might not, it might be very difficult. I mean, I have been that one woman in many ways, you know. In a bank that was actually similar, you know. I mean, in an investment bank, there were like, it was also very male driven. So those are all reasons why women might not engage as quickly. On the other hand, we have seen in a lot of the incubators, we have seen a lot of amazing women teams. They had the, you know, over like 6 weeks, there were often the teams that persisted. and remained. During a crisis, on the other hand, you could assume that a lot of the women probably also are the caretakers of the children, caretakers of the parents, perhaps, you know. So it's a societal issue. It's not a particular issue of technology and tech industry. If you look at the numbers of women losing their jobs or voluntary leaving, that is the other thing, you know. So certain things we can, as women, we can encourage, and that's something I'm trying to do. I'm encouraging women to hire other women, to consider women, to understand that a leadership style of a woman looks different, and it's not necessarily something we have learned to see as somebody who is successful, right? We look at success, it comes in a certain package with a certain voice, and that's usually male, right? And we have to relearn this and have to understand that there are other styles and other, you know, ways of leadership, and it's really up to us. It's really up to us to support this. And I have great experience with male allies. That's another way of encouraging progress by having great allies. You know, a white male ally is, you know, in supporting, can be the in-between between the women and the other guys, because sometimes it really takes that translation. But I'm always, when I see that women elect to leave a position within my company, I always ask why, what happened, you know, and so where didn't we support you well? And so that we can learn. And often it is really that then women give up. They have been there, done that. They have seen they have no voice. They feel they have no influence anymore. And then they want to leave. Mm-hmm. And that's a sad reality. And in times of crisis, that reality becomes more obvious again.
And what would you say to women that are interested in getting into this industry, but are nervous based on everything you just said? Why is it so important for them to be involved now and to persevere?
It is important for society to have that diversity, right? You know, for these women, it's a great industry. You know, it goes into every pocket of society, every area of interest. For society, it's important. Like I said before, we need that diversity of thought. And for women, it's a great opportunity to get into a technology that is pretty young. And so the catching up perhaps on the tech end, and you don't have to be a technologist. Please don't let anybody tell you you need to be a technologist, right? Most people in the internet industry or anywhere else are not technologists, but initially everybody thinks, oh my God, you know, but I'm not technical. Yeah, okay, that's fine. You know, leadership skills don't have to have anything to do with technology, right? If you are a good leader, if you're a good project manager, if you have a domain skill, then that is very valuable. You can find women in blockchain meetups around the world, and you can join that so that you meet other women, and then hopefully we have these networks where we can help each other and support each other in advancing in this industry and also in advancing the industry.
That's a really great point, because what I do see a lot is a lot of people saying that software developers are really the best people that should be crossing over into blockchain. And there aren't that many women software developers as there are men. So I think that does hold people back. So thank you for pointing out that you don't have to be a technologist to enter this field. I'm curious what you think about how mainstream media talks about blockchain and crypto, and if you feel that the way they cover it might be holding back some of these individuals who are hesitant to enter the space.
Blockchain at some point at least was like the solution for just about everything. Just blockchainify it, right? And so it will end world hunger. And that it's not, right? So blockchain offers an opportunity to replace trust by having a mechanism to audit something, right? So verify instead of trust. What has happened a lot is that a lot of the implementations are actually built around legacy models, and we're kind of losing the benefit that comes out of blockchain, right? So again, back to why are we doing this, and for who is it? What is the opportunity in blockchain, right? Again, that's why I do think we need the minorities, because the minorities are the ones who understand the benefit, right? If you go into for example, the co-founders in Liquality, I'm half Iranian, Simone is Venezuelan, and Alex is from South Africa. So those are 3 countries that have currency events, right? So either hyperinflation, sanctions, you name it, we got it, right? And we have that experience. So when we say the product we're building has to have certain qualities, then it's not something that we quickly give up because we just want to bring it to market. We do this out of a conviction, right? And so the same, I'm hoping, I'm assuming minorities will do, because they probably come more from a conviction-based motivation and will really build out blockchain as it benefits and as it brings transformation, the transformation it can bring.
Well, Thessy, thank you so much for joining us today. How can people find you if they want to join Women in Blockchain or learn more about Liquality?
You can always ping me on Twitter at Thessy Mehrain. I don't know, maybe you want to put this, write this out. Yeah, find me there, or Thessy, THESSY at WIB.community, Women in Blockchain Community. WIB.community is also an email address.
Fantastic.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.